Welcome to the Wtf Show podcast from Bangkok, Thailand. Presented by Vimol Kogar. Tune in to get your dose of weekly verbal Red Bull.
Hey, welcome to the WTF Show. Today we have Dr. Anjana Warren from Mahidol International University College, MIUC, or is it MUIC? It's MUIC, yes. I apologize. Welcome to the show, Dr. Warren.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be on the show. Thank you, Vimol.
Dr. Warren, tell me a little bit about your history.
Okay. I'm originally from the south of India, from Kerala. That's where my grandmother's place is. And then I kind of moved around quite a bit and went to university in Madras Christian College. And actually, while growing up, I wanted to become a diplomat. But what happened was, while I was studying at university, I fell in love with research.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, this is something that I want to pursue. And then that's how it all started. I did my MPhil, my PhD. And then I wanted to work, and I was looking for job opportunities. And I found one in Thailand because I was doing my PhD. And so I wanted to work at the same time. And in India, I found it very difficult to do that. So I wanted to go somewhere else. Plus, I love to travel. And I had quite a few Thai friends at my university who told me about teaching English in Thailand and everything. So I was quite fascinated. Then I thought about it. I was like, that's a good place to go. Plus, I can learn the language. I can travel around. Let me give it a try. And so I applied for jobs. And then I got a few interview calls. I just packed my bag and left. I came here.
Congratulations. And you landed a job in Mahidol.
Yeah, but actually, I did not land a job in Mahidol at first. I got a job at one of the English programs in a Thai public school.
Okay.
I worked there for a couple of years. And then I submitted my thesis, and that's when I moved to Mahidol. Yeah.
So tell me about your core competence, because I know that you've done a huge number of research papers. You have studied literature. You've studied Indian diaspora studies.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit, go one by one and tell me what it is that you know.
In terms of?
Sort of your degrees.
My degree. Okay. Well, my master's is in English language and literature. And of course, I love reading and just loved my whole master's. It was absolutely amazing. Well, I also learned something about, I have to actually go back a little bit and tell you that, in India, you know how it is that, sometimes in family, they actually want their children to be either a doctor or an engineer. And especially if you're a little bit good at studies, they expect you to be that.
Yeah, and you were good at your studies,
I was,
Dr. Warren.
I was all right, but what I'm trying to say is that people kind of had that expectation about me. I would go become a doctor or whatever, engineer, but I wasn't really interested in any of those. So I just wanted to study literature. And that kind of was, I think I was a little bit rebellious there, and I chose what I wanted. And of course, my mom was okay with it. And she told me that, okay, study whatever you want, but do the best that you can. I said, okay, Mom, that's what I'll do. So that's how, my love for literature and everything.
Tell me, be a little specific with me. What were your papers? And because our audience is very educated, and they can do Chaucer and they can do Shakespeare.
Okay, let me get to that now. So I got interested in diaspora, and that's when I told you about, when I got interested in researching and everything. I mostly worked on the Indian American diaspora and diaspora literature. Yeah, I got interested in diaspora literature at first, and then took an interest in diaspora studies. So my PhD is in diaspora literature. I worked on Indian American diaspora. Diaspora is amazing because it's I don't know, the whole issue of identity actually fascinates me. Because when somebody asks you who you are or what exactly is your identity, that's always a difficult question for many people, for me, I'm the kind of person who believes that identity is fluid. And with diaspora community, I find that diaspora individuals have this fluid identity, which really fascinated me. And that's how I got into that, because it's my area of interest. This really intrigued me. And then, bit by bit, and then, I did a lot of research in diaspora literature, some papers in that field. Then I got interested in the Thai Sikh diaspora, because after coming to Mahidol University, I got a lot of students who actually belong to the Thai Sikh diaspora. And I love my students, amazing students, and they really encouraged me to work in that field, because I started noticing their behavior, the way they are, their issues, being of Indian origin in Thailand, all sorts of things. So I was like, this is really interesting. This is something that I want to work on. And that's how I started my research in Thai Sikh diaspora. So currently, that's my research area. I work on the Sikhs in Thailand, the diaspora. So my last paper was on the students, actually. I mostly talk about the clustering nature of the Thai Sikh diaspora and, their issues with identity, those kinds of things.
So just to explain to the audience out there who don't know where this word diaspora comes from, it's generally about Indians who've left India the last 100 years and have built a home elsewhere.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. If you look at the origin, it comes from the whole Jewish diaspora, the mass exodus, kind of that kind of thing. But basically when we talk about Indian diaspora, it's people who left India for whatever reasons. It can be due to, in the case of Sikhs, mainly because of partition and all of that. And then for whatever reasons, economic, So people who leave India and go settle down elsewhere and just start a life there. So that's really diaspora.
And Dr. Warren, if we go one step further into this conversation, do you find that the youth have a little bit of an identity crisis? Is there the people you meet, the people you teach, they're from one culture and they're sitting in a different culture. Are there problems and are there ways of solving these problems?
Yes, obviously. from my research, that's what I understood, talking to my students. Because see, I mainly teach the fourth generation diaspora, like Indian diaspora in Thailand. Specifically, if we talk about, because I work on the Sikh diaspora, it's the fourth generation. So they are born in Thailand and they all have their Thai passports. But still, they are not considered Thais, like, quote unquote, because there is still that, I wouldn't call it discrimination, but for them, that crisis, that identity crisis is real. They're still there, but not really there, and many of them told me that they don't really feel completely accepted as Thais. They still feel some kind of discrimination. I have to be very honest in that, because of their ethnicity. So they do feel that identity crisis, but very much they're Thais. They speak fluent Thai, they have Thai passports, but still not considered Thai. I'm talking about like a situation in Thailand. So yes, they go through identity crisis, and it again depends on, I have to say, different individuals. Some people are kind of okay with it, or maybe do not take that too seriously. But for some, that's still a struggle.
And when a student comes to you with these types of feelings, I would say, emotions, how do you address that student? How do you say that, look, maybe be who you are, or as you grow older, you learn to maybe handle other people better? How do you help the child process?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Usually, like you said, I wouldn't call it advice, but, I would tell them, be yourself. This is something that you cannot change, And if people do not accept you the way that you are, I usually just kind of like take it in the light way and say, see, that's not your problem, that's their problem,
Right.
Because people need to, as human beings, we need to understand each other, we need to respect each other, irrespective of your skin color, your educational background, financial, whatever, you need to still be accepted, and everybody wants to be accepted. That's the basic human nature, and we understand that. And if some people don't understand that, and that they don't want to show that to others, then that's their problem. That's not your problem. But what you can do is just be yourself and be the best that you can, and it's not like this everywhere. Yeah, I mean, we all go through different experiences in life that are not very pleasant. But then, my take on it would be just take that as a learning experience, move on. You find better opportunities just to prove yourself. So do not let your, either your ethnicity or the color of your skin or your background hinder you from achieving what you want to and who you want to be. So basically, that's what I would tell them. Because otherwise, if somebody discriminates them or, disrespect them, then that's not their issue. That is those people's issues. They need to get their life straight.
So, Dr. Warren, I want to come back a little bit and talk about diaspora literature, because I didn't even know that this existed. So I know from my friends, my Gujarati friends in Kenya, my Sindhi friends in London and Sierra Leone and Nigeria, my South Indian friends in Singapore and Malaysia. So So Indians of the 20th century and maybe sometimes of the 19th century, they went all over the world, right? And I didn't realize they wrote. So am I right to say that there is a classification known as Diaspora Literature?
Yes, there is.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. And many people, I think, don't know much about it because most of it is categorized under post-colonial literature because, of course, we are all like post-colonials, like, going from India and then going elsewhere, writing about issues. So, but diaspora literature is like, it's separate, and of course, it's been there for quite some time, really, and different. Like, you can find works in diaspora literature in different diaspora, really worldwide, Indian American or like, Italian American or Indo-Canadian. There's like, it's everywhere. So people writing, people belonging to these diasporas and writing about, the issues that like diaspora individuals go through. And so you can learn a lot about these diasporas from these works, really. Even if it is like fiction, non-fiction, you still can understand diaspora better from diaspora literature.
So I want to move towards the successes of the Indian diaspora as they go around the world, right? So you now have Indian politicians in the UK, Rishi Sunak and Priti Patel. You have Indian titans of business in America. You have the
everywhere,
corporates, right?
Yes.
Like Sundar Pichai and Indians are filling the gaps being left at the top. Tell me, what is your opinion about how Indians have weathered the growth of the last 50 years? They've done very well, obviously. But are there any setbacks? Do you see anything that we don't see as an academic in terms of how they struggled?
I'm sure that whoever is at the top will have to go through some sort of struggle. And I'm sure that many of them would have gone through, discriminations, everything. But then these are, I think these are people who actually did not give in and just were not afraid of setbacks and tried to move forward. And, just kind of like probably because they were like really goal oriented. And one thing that I find in, Indian diaspora in general is, people are hardworking. And they say that, I don't know whether I should say this, but people kind of say that when Indians go out of India, they tend to be more hardworking. I'm not sure about that, but of course I'm not saying that, but hardworking, yes, I think that that actually shows. Of course, there are people who got it made. I'm not talking about those people, but many of them, I'm sure that they have had to go through a lot of struggle to be there. Yeah, and I think the same. But the thing about being somebody in diaspora is you have to, in a way, sort of prove yourself to the mainstream society too, So the struggle is kind of like, I would say it's more for a diaspora individual rather than somebody in the home country. Because you are, as a diaspora individual, you can, because if the mainstream society don't consider you as one of them, you are kind of like an outsider, or you're still like, not one of them. You have to prove yourself. to be recognized and be respected by the mainstream society. So I'm sure that many people at the top in diaspora communities have to do quite a bit of hard work to do that. So,
tell me your relationship with Thailand, because you've come here now 10 years. It doesn't look like you're going to leave tomorrow, so there must be a soft
Absolutely
spot.
not. No.
Tell me what you think of Thailand.
I'm actually, I think I'm still in love with Thailand. Yeah, I haven't fallen out of love with Thailand yet. Well,
what is it? What's the X factor?
X factor is it's very, I don't know. There's a certain, at least for me, okay, this is from my perspective, I find it quite peaceful. And in a way, it could be also because I don't know, where I'm happy with the things that I do. Of course, I have to achieve more, but it's not that thing. But I can travel. There are a lot of beautiful places. I'm a traveler. I love to travel, which of course can do these days. Sad about it, but still, yeah. But there is a certain gentleness about Thai people too, in general, which I like. And it's the best place to travel around Asia in a way, looking from a traveler's perspective. And being here for like over 10 years, Thailand is pretty much home to me. I have 2 dogs, and I, have a lot of friends, and I speak the language, so it makes it easier. Yeah, but of course, my Thai is not perfect. I always get the tones wrong, and then invite laughs, but that's just, yeah. But that gentleness is something, and there's a certain amount of peace. And I have to just add this, that they're quite animal friendly. I'm an animal lover, and it's very fascinating. It's very, it just made me feel very good to see cats and dogs like coexisting in a very friendly manner in Thailand, because I remember in my grandmother's place, a cat and a dog, when they see, it's like, oh, that's it.
It's like war?
I know.
Right.
But there's a certain, so let's put it this way, peaceful coexistence. Yeah, I think that there's that in Thailand. And of course, not perfect. Oh, come on, but... Yeah.
So, Dr. Warren, before we move on, I need to quickly make a pitch for the WTF show.
Okay.
So, on Mondays, we've started the WTF Daily Show. Okay. We have somebody called DJ Rico Smith, who hosts WTF Radio Show on Mondays. On Tuesdays, we have WTF Investing Show with Direk Kanijao. On Wednesday, we have Fake It Till You Make It Show with Shruti Katari. She talks to you about books that you should read and should not read, and helps you to interpret books. Now, quickly, I want to invite you, Dr. Warren, to please introduce us to our next guest on the WTF show. So you're welcome to PM me and let me know who you think would be an excellent guest on the show, somebody like yourself. And finally, at the end of the year, Dr. Warren, we will have the WTF Youth Awards for people aged between 20 to 30. So you are invited to nominate and vote for Youth of the Year. Okay, so I'm quickly going to go to ambitions and future, and I want you to tell me about your goals, your short-term goals, long-term goals, and where you see yourself in 5 years' time.
Okay, well, that's a very interesting question, Vimol, because can we plan long-term these days? we are living in uncertain times. So I think that, right now, what I do is, I haven't given up on my long-term goals, but I think that right now it's better to do one day at a time. Do the best, what you can, be more productive every day. And for me, another thing is just that willingness to learn, because every day I would love to learn something every single day, because and nobody is perfect. I'm in no way perfect. There's a lot of improvement. This is something that I tell my students too, because I learn a lot from my students as well. And I tell them, of course, I am your Anjana, but that does not mean that I know everything, There are things that I'm still learning and some things I don't know, but what our attitude need to be is, if you don't know something, then you say, okay, fine, I don't know, but I would love to learn, that kind of thing. So learn something every day. That is really on a daily basis. Now, if you talk about my goals is, of course, I'm working on 3 papers at the moment, which is...
You're working on 3 papers at the moment.
I'm supposed to be working. I'm technically working on 3 papers, but trust me, I get lazy, and sometimes I'm too kind on myself. I say, I need to take a break now, and then maybe I postpone my work, but we are all human. I need to come back to that and then start working. So basically, working on my papers, and my long-term goal is to write a book on the Sikh diaspora in Thailand.
Wow, that would be really nice.
Yes, because there are not many books available on Sikhs in Thailand, and the last one was written many years ago. So I think that I hope that in the near future I can start working on it and come up with a book. Yeah.
The lovely Miss Dr. Anjana Warren here with us at the studios. I am so happy, Dr. Warren, that you've joined us for the show. So Dr. Warren, again, is Mahidol University International College professor and a lovely guest for us today. Thank you so much, Dr. Warren, for joining us in the show. We'll give you the last word.
Thank you so much, Vimol. It's really a pleasure to be on the show, because what I feel about your show is that you're really giving back to the community, and also especially professionals, and just having professionals connect in the diaspora, connect with each other, getting to know more people. So and you're providing a platform for that, and it's really amazing. So thank you for hosting the show. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. So nice. We'll have you again soon, I hope, Dr. Warren. And thank you, all of you WTFers out there. And we will catch you next week, TTFN.
That's it from the WTF Show. Vimol and the team from WTF Show would like to thank all our sponsors. Tune in next week for another great gig with people making a difference to your future. For advertising spots, go to the WTF Show IG page and get more info, or contact Vimol at 6681 616 5987.